Astro Cyborg clips video from podcast. He titles it Jason Schreier's words severely hurt, and then he puts it out there. Now, Jason Schreier came out with a lot of reports in the last few days. One of them included, and this is one that would relate to a lot of what I enjoy talking about, which would be superhero games. But I didn't give up on superhero games. Superhero games kind of gave up on me. It's either the developers and their mandates are just a little off, or the management, in terms of who is running the entire agenda, doesn't really know what they're doing. Look at the news about the Wonder Woman game. Look at the news about them trying to go back and make an Arkham game at Rocksteady. You'll know exactly what it is I mean. So let's listen to this, and let's hear some thoughts from all other sides of the conversation.
Interesting conversation or topic that comes up for some reason when it, with really specifically to video games, because I don't think we have these. I don't think there's pundits out there like Jason Schreier saying, "Oh, the Big Mac is going to be obsolete one day, and it'll be at Burger King." Like we like Air Jordan will be on Reebok. Like we don't, or Stranger Things will no longer be exclusive. Like we don't have those conversations with any other entertainment medium or
Right.
consumer product where there's some form of exclusivity. There's value in exclusivity for brands. There's value in exclusivity for consumers too.
That's right.
So this is an exclusivity talk. So I would guess that the folk that are speaking here, they are pro exclusivity, and they're all on side. They're on all sides, by the way. They're pro exclusivists on PlayStation. They're pro exclusivists on Xbox. The reason a Nintendo player doesn't have to either be pro or anti-exclusivist is because Nintendo is the only one that practices full exclusivity, and so they don't have any reason to actually be on here and start talking about it, right? And so you guys know my stance. I do not like exclusivity. However, I would allow for, or I would say in my mind, that if you own a game or own an IP, you can do as you wish with it. Don't get me wrong, it's anti-consumer. I'm not going to let you get away with that anti-consumer aspect of the third-party, relationship, both on the developer and on the publisher side. That will be PlayStation to maybe some other publisher, or Xbox to another publisher. Because what you're doing is you're holding a game captive, and those who actually make the game are making their game captive to benefit themselves ahead of the customer, who they will now basically put in a position to go spend $500 to play their game, which is absolute horseradish. So I'm happy now that we have many games that every Wukong has a Wu-Chang coming right by it. And those of you who are on Xbox, if I didn't say the word Wukong, when last did you think about that game? Aha.
Where consumers feel like they're part of something. That's why consumers get locked into ecosystems.
All this feeling talk, where consumers feel. What does this feeling have to do with anything? Where consumers feel. What are you feeling? What, are you 12? Like, I have to say, and this is not anything against the person speaking, but I've seen this in comment sections and all over the place, and I have to ask myself and say, okay, so you want to feel warm, and this is especially from the Xbox side. So I'm guessing this brat person is a PlayStation aficionado, because, Jason Schreier came out and made this comment, and for the most part, the folk who are seemingly in disagreement are those on PlayStation side, because Xbox don't thrown that curtain away and said, nah, man, we're going all in, right? So I'm guessing, like, and I hear this from the Xbox side, the people will say, well, it just makes people who bought into the ecosystem not feel special, or, feel like they're being cheated, or they're losing. They could have bought PlayStations. You could have just traded your Xbox in and bought a PlayStation 5 Pro at any moment, and you could have done it. They were giving so much money for that PlayStation 5 Pro trade-in. It was insane. You could have done that if you wanted, or just a regular PlayStation, and you would have had change to even buy your favorite PlayStation game if you thought you invested into the wrong ecosystem. But the reality is, it's not the exclusivity that's actually keeping you in the ecosystem. It's certain things about the ecosystem that you like. So exclusives, to me, have just been oversold, that now no one can even think outside of the box anymore, even when PlayStation and Xbox have abandoned exclusivity. Abandoned.
That's why Apple is. Look, it's funny. Like all the talk around exclusivity, and I saw Paris say, "Oh, third-party games reach more people and make more money." Well, actually, yes, they do reach more people. Have the potential.
I was wondering what he was going to say there.
To reach more people, but no, they don't necessarily make more money.
Huh? Most of the highest sellers are third-party games. In fact, before you start seeing Nintendo games on the list, you're going to see third-party titles. That's just the reality. In fact, I would argue that in a saturated ecosystem, the games that take the hit the most are the exclusive games. If we put Nintendo aside, because that's only where you can get Nintendo games, and Nintendo doesn't have the saturation competition that PlayStation and Xbox has. So we put Nintendo aside. If we look at PlayStation and Xbox, the top sellers on those platforms are simply third-party games. They just simply are. I have not seen, if we look at that list, I have not seen the PlayStation game that was exclusive to its platform or the Xbox game that's exclusive to its platform from the PS4 and PS5 era that I know. Maybe I might be missing something. Somebody please feel free to correct me in the comment section. That has outsold or standing above the third-party coalition of games. It's not there. It's not there.
And actually, I talked to a developer a while ago who mentioned, yeah, basically said each has its own unique set of circumstances or challenges, risk reward.
True.
Third party and first party.
True.
But one of the things that stood out to me is that third party, there's sometimes heightened risk or pressure or expenses in development because now you're developing for multiple platforms. It means more resources.
So that has nothing to do with the sales or the prosperity or whatever of the game. It has nothing to do with it. that the development cost and all that stuff, that's got nothing to do with it. That is something that the development team has factored into their own workload. For instance, Monster Hunter Wilds and Capcom games have been selling like hotcake on the PC platform. Those games, however, are available on the PlayStation and Xbox ecosystem for those who choose, right? So them basically making the PlayStation port and the Xbox port, which are basically the secondary ports because you make the games on PC, are the extra costs, but it never really affected who bought the game. Who bought the game were those that were interested in the game and interested in the titles.
And power, QA, all that other stuff that goes into that, right?
Yep.
But anyhow, but it's interesting because
why this? Why only this? You're right, Brap. Why only this field of media?
I don't know.
Because it's one of the most expensive fields of media in terms of production out there. Not just cost in terms of development, but cost in time. For instance, The Lord of the Rings and, The Hobbit. Let's just say The Hobbit. How long did it take to shoot The Hobbit? How long to shoot The Hobbit? I think it was 1 year. If you watch it was 8.8 months, yeah. If you watch the extended edition of The Hobbit, right? The filming took 266 days, right? How much did The Hobbit gross? $2.9 billion worldwide. For the film series, 8.8 months of shooting. Which video game will you develop in 8.8 months? Minecraft, I know. But which video game would you develop in 8.8 months that's going to gross $3 billion with, just very minimal. Now it is a no name, but let's even look at Hogwarts Legacy, a no name Harry Potter, extraction from game, and even Hogwarts Legacy wouldn't even dream nor presume to be in that same situation. So the medium of video games is actually very expensive. That's why it's unique. That's why it's standing out. That's why it's being treated very differently. That's why it's very volatile. Look at all the layoffs in the last 48 hours. It's insane. And y'all know I don't like making layoff videos. I've been seeing them from back and forth everywhere, independent, even within, the publishers. It's nuts.
I just think that people, I think that people are like, yeah, I don't want to refer to them as console hippies, but I feel like they're like they're kind of like in their, like, I don't know, like they're like they want to have this utopian view of gaming, and it's like, no, guys, like all those things sound great. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
Tear down the garden, like that all sounds great on paper, but the reality is that Sony makes exclusives. Nintendo makes exclusives because the market has shown, the free market as we call it, has shown that, you know what, we want those things. We will pay money for those things.
Okay, let's do this. Let's do an experiment. Y'all take your podcast and exclusively go lock it on a website that you design for yourself behind a paywall. Don't use Patreon. Set up your own payment system. Set up a website, www.brappodcast.com. Host your podcast there and put it behind a paywall for individuals to come in there and listen. Don't take it off of YouTube and make it exclusive to those people. See what happens to your views and see what happens to your participation and see what happens to your reach. In fact, you know what? I'll grant you guys another one. All your current listeners, let's just teleport them on there. Let's just say, you know what? You've worked hard for these listeners. Let's now take them all there. Let's just say they're yours. Like they all listen to only your podcast. Let's say they all give you that paywall, whatever, and they pay that fee. Let's see what would happen to your reach in this age where podcasts are everywhere. I can look under my couch and there's a podcast there. Let's see what happens to your podcast. Let's see if your podcast would grow. And then let's start another experiment. Let others that you basically are similar in their views and their reach, let them stay on YouTube and keep providing their podcast to other people. And then maybe they move to another video platform like Vimeo, Twitch, or whatever, right? Let's see what happens to their reach and let's see what happens to their audience. Put your money on it. All these folk that keep talking about this, none of them ever want to put their money where their mouth is. That's the thing. They want PlayStation and Xbox to do it for them, and then PlayStation and Xbox absorb that risk so that they can feel good. But these are businessmen, all of them making a podcast, growing an audience that supports your podcast financially, even just by views and even just by participation, which brings in monetization directly and indirectly. Why not experiment it with yourself and say, you know what? Yeah, improve the quality, do that, and then let's see if it actually works and how well it's going to work for you in a saturated market where there are podcasts everywhere. You see, they're saying it like, why is it just this medium of gaming when the medium that they're actually presenting the information from to you is not an exclusive medium of their own? Oh, come on now. Okay, this is a very easy litmus test that can be always, but no one's going to do it. No one's going to do it. Why would you do that? Because the third-party developers all these years have been making money putting their games everywhere. That's how they've survived. That's how they've thrived. They didn't have to sell a subsidized hardware. They went in for full revenue and possibly full profits at the end of the day. Interesting, isn't it?
In fact, we'll pay $10 more for those things than you charge just the console generation before, and we'll happily do it. In fact, we'll actually pay you even more money for early access release to those exclusives. So it's...
Why don't you do it on your own podcast? Do exclusive releases. In fact, YouTube grants you that possibility and that whatever. In fact, let me tell you another very funny thing. Let me even make this thing so funny, guys. Destin, when he interviewed Phil Spencer, like that first interview he did, he put it behind a paywall on his Patreon. A lot of people went to his Patreon, they watched it, and they started clipping it from the Patreon behind the paywall and disseminating it across the board. Does that sound like something that we've heard of before from games? Piracy? Humans are going to basically do weird stuff like that with your content. They will take your content and go serve it for free that you've put behind a paywall. Same thing happened to, I wonder what company that is that likes to throw lawsuits all over the place to basically maintain its exclusive, area. It's only in the podcast world that exclusives are, some kind of a good thing. People naturally don't like it. They naturally do not like it. Xbox is going with the grain. Exclusivity is going against the grain. Nintendo Switch is going to need to put up more than a Super Mario Kart 2 before people would look and say, okay, what am I buying here? But we'll see how that plays out. I just thought I'd put this example here because, man, it's easy, to basically point out and say, we'll pay more money or you guys need to do it. But to practice what you preach is not that easy.
Just a weird thing, like Schreier saying console exclusives will become obsolete soon. Based on what?
They ain't selling. That's what it's based on. They're not selling. It's based on the fact that if I go on Steam and I look at the Steam library of PlayStation and Xbox games, it's all there. And if it's not there yet, someone is either porting it or can't even afford to port it because it didn't even sell well. That's what it is. Look at this. It's all here. It's all here. Simply because they're not selling enough of them. That's what it's based on. That's what it's based on.
Like,
I'm sure he maybe spoke to one or two developers that maybe feel that way, or maybe a publisher that feels that way.
You don't got to speak to anybody. All you got to do is go and look at it for yourself. The evidence is right before you. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the reason why I tell y'all, you don't need anybody to tell you what's going on in the industry. It's all laid out for you in front of you. You don't have to worry about, where am I going to get information about this thing I'm looking for? It's right here. If Ghost of Tsushima had busted out 28 million, 30, 40 million units on the PlayStation 4 when it launched close to the end of that PS4 generation, it would not be here on PC. And even if it was, the other games would have to also reach those kinds of numbers in order for them to stay exclusive. It's based on that. This is not a question that we have to actually think too hard to answer.
But that doesn't mean that when Sony or Nintendo pick up the phone brap to cut a deal and they're willing to put a certain bag of money on the table for a year or 2 year exclusive to their console, even third party wise, I don't see them saying no to that.
Who? The businesses? Square Enix plans to bring all Final Fantasy games to Xbox. Pearl Abyss, PlayStation exclusivity. Crimson Desert devs response to reports it turned down Sony PS5 exclusivity deal that would have blocked Xbox release for a year. If that's what he's talking about here, I just want to be fair.
Yeah, and he says especially for third-party publishers. Now that seems a bit more tangible.
A bit? Hold on. Even Kojima, that is as PlayStation as can be, even he went ahead and somehow negotiated the publishing rights of a game that he developed, a PlayStation game, by the way, and brought it to Xbox. If internally someone like Kojima could be feeling the weight of potential sales on Xbox, I am almost certain that with a high level of certain confidence that other developers who are locked into exclusivity are feeling it. This is why the developers for Stellar Blade said that they are hoping that they expect the PlayStation, the Steam version of their game to actually sell more copies. Man, this stuff is available everywhere.
That would happen, but again, just to the idea of exclusivity or exclusives, like I don't see them so long as you need to sell hardware, and you're selling the idea of a hardware ecosystem, because it isn't just games, right? People are so focused on, exclusive games are going to go the way of the dodo bird. Well, no, because exclusive games are ways to get you in, one way to get you into that ecosystem, and much like Apple. Like I
absolutely.
I hate Apple, man. I use an iPhone. I have AirPods, but I can't stand Apple. Can't stand Apple. The AirPods, I bought them used too. My buddy was like, I want to change and I want to upgrade. I said, man, give me something to wipe those things off. And I bought it cheap. Why? Because I can't stand them. I wanted to buy a watch, didn't want to buy an Apple Watch, but I can't use the functionality. What that means is they break my willingness to spend any more money in their ecosystem. Some people love it, but I'm not going to do that crap with them. And there are people who hate it. A lot of people who hate it. If they decide to run their market like that, they can. But as innovation is changing, Apple is not going to hold the hegemony anymore on some of the more advanced technology. These companies all just need to wake up, or another disruptor needs to come in, and that's not going to be too far off. You just wait. I mean, remember when Tim Cook messed around with Elon and wanted to remove X from, the Twitter app, and people said, Elon, make your own phone. Do you know what shivers that sent through the tech world? Y'all think Apple's game is actually one that can sustain itself? No. You watch and see. In a ubiquitous market of such, that kind of a business proposition would have to morph or continue to upsell the existing customer base who are already dialed in, who couldn't be bothered, in order for it to sustain itself, which is what Apple does all the while. Pay for cloud, do this, no memory card, you can't expand your data to get your files. It's such a nightmare. All of these things that they do can't be compatible with Windows. Go buy a Mac. What? That's going to get real old pretty soon. Watch and see.
Again, I'm like, people, like Apple's a train. Look at Apple. They own the full stack. They own everything.
Yeah.
And Microsoft makes more money than them and is worth more than they are. I mean, all right? And Microsoft bailed them out. And Microsoft sells their Word and Office on their platform. Look at Microsoft. You look at Apple. I'm looking at Microsoft. We're looking at both of them. Let's look at. We're looking at both of them, and one of them is literally sitting on top. Right?
Brab,
And they are so successful.
Brab, why did they want you to? They're trying to funnel you into the store
Because they want to
Isn't
sell
that
you
the
more
goal of
shit.
everybody?
Yes, they want to sell you more shit, Mag.
Apple, Microsoft, Sony, Nintendo, Meta, Amazon specifically. Actually, I'm going to make a quick comparison with Amazon and Game Pass. This is something I was talking about with someone. As we know, 15 months ago, Game Pass was no longer the focus, right, for Microsoft. What they ended up doing.
Who said that? Who? Where did they say Game Pass was not the focus? Who said that? Who said that? Every single Xbox game that's been announced, go look at their announcement image. Game Pass is the first thing you see. Xbox, Steam, or whatever it is. That is a lie. 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 Are they going with Chris Dring's own whatever? Oh, if that's what they're going with, then that's a fugazi. If Game Pass is not the focus anymore, I got to ask where they're getting that from. Oh my gosh. No. It's one thing to say something, and it's another thing to go ahead and just make something up. Let's not do that. Let's not do that, gentlemen. No. No. Let's not do that. Okay? This is it. This is how it starts. They'll make a claim and it's like as of 15 months ago. What? As of 15 months ago, and then they dropped the biggest selling game or second biggest selling game of the year on Game Pass. It's now organic and part of the ecosystem. They just don't have to sit here and sing about it every single moment. But every game that's coming, you look, is it going on Game Pass? It is. Okay, old news. Let's go. It's now the norm. Say the Game Pass is not the focus. It is the focus. It is the core. Every game goes on it and launches day one. What are you talking about? This is interesting.
Doing is that just became a subsidiary in order to keep people there and then funnel them into the Xbox store to purchase microtransactions, skins, expansions, DLCs, whatever else, right? Because that's their bread and butter.
And the games. Can somebody tell these gentlemen that the games, because it's just like a store. It's just like PlayStation Plus. That's all Xbox's Game Pass is. It's just like PlayStation Plus. Let's not go ahead and start this. This is all downplaying, man. This is all downplaying in the highest capacity. Because I can almost guarantee you, if the roles were reversed, Game Pass would be the best thing in the whole wide world.
And so what they ended up doing is that they just have that there. Now they switched to Project Latitude. Now.
Switched? Excuse me. Switched? If I'm not mistaken, they've been porting their games to PC since 2016. Let's look at what's the name? Quantum Break. Was that the first game that went? Switched? No. They're expanding upon their multi-platform push. Having broken away from exclusivity to PC day one, they have decided now to add PlayStation to the list, because this break to multi-platform occurred before Game Pass even existed. So the original plan, from what we're seeing from the timeline, is that they are multi-plat. Now, perhaps they never considered moving to PlayStation, but don't be fooled. This plan worked out very well for Xbox, as I've shown y'all in the Steam Best of 2017 through 2024. Xbox games being in every single one of these bestseller lists that Steam has every single year.
What that ends up doing is that by keeping those people in Game Pass, that's not where the money is. That just helps to stabilize the business. If you think about Amazon Prime, do you think that Bezos gives a rat's ass about Reacher Season 3 or the Rings of Power Season 3? He does not.
No.
It is what he's doing is that he's got you watching those shows when I'm sitting there watching Landman or whatever I'm watching. The point is that the next time I get a hole in my sock, I'm already subscribed to Amazon Prime, so I'm going to go buy my stocks on Amazon.
Amazon Prime subscriptions actually make a lot of money. There's a book called The Automatic Customer. I'd wish that, we could get some data, But anyways.
Because it is a lure to get you into the store. And the same thing with Game Pass. Now,
The same with PlayStation Plus.
that it's no longer the business focus.
It is the business focus. Why does he keep saying that? TCMF Games, he posts a lot on Twitter. He has all these nice graphics and stuff. I would think that he would, know better. Why is he saying otherwise? When did Xbox ever announce that the Game Pass was no longer their focus? When did they ever say that? From my perspective and everybody else's perspective, there's an entire huge list of games that are still coming to Game Pass, and they continue to fulfill what they've promised, which are day one games across the board. Both third party and first party, and other games monthly coming in. Who says this is not? In fact, Tweaktown was estimating that Game Pass is projected to net about $5.5 billion.
It is now the lure or a subsidiary to keep people into the Xbox store to buy microtransactions and third-party games and whatever else, and the occasional first-party game. But what's the point if you're already on Game Pass? And
the occasional first-party game. Okay, you smell that? That's a little biased there, but whatever.
That's what Sony does as well. Sony's bread and butter. You get the people that buy 83% of Call of Duty sales were on PlayStation.
Yeah.
I think it was it 80 something like that? And then what ends up happening every time they
83%. I've never seen that before. Maybe there's a data set somewhere someone can point me to.
They release an Art the Clown or a Cardi B skin for Call of Duty, you're buying it on PlayStation because you already bought the game.
You already bought the game there. That's right.
They are making billions of dollars off by keeping people in the store.
So
that's what it boils down to.
Meg, great.
Yeah,
Okay. Well, again, like I said, I'd hope, everybody will basically roll with the times. If exclusivity is important to you, and without it, you don't feel like gaming is authentic, then perhaps it might be time for another hobby. And that'll be okay. That'll be fine. But if gaming is important to you, then, we just game, right? Thanks for watching the video, guys. Appreciate you guys' time and audience. Peace out.